In this video, we'll discuss a moderate level kind of a DSA problem, the merging of overlapping lists. In this, we are presented a input list in this manner, and we want to merge the overlapping sequence. So consider this case within the list. Consider this sequence 1 3 2 4, and let's for the uh, explanation purpose, let's consider 1 to be as A, 3 to be as B, 2 to be as C, and 4 to be as D, right? So whenever we see a condition where B is greater than C, in such a case, we want to merge them in a way that the end output starts looking like this. So basically, 3 and 2 is overlapping among these adjacent lists. So the end output should merge them, and eventually it should look like 1 comma 4. Over here, there was nothing further to get compared, and so we just pass on this as it is, right? So the approach to solve this for me is, I create the sequence that I just talked about. Like, in the first pass, I will have a list that will have inner list of ABCD element. So this first element in this first pass of my list will be 1324. This will be part of the whole list as the first element, right? Then the second element for this would be 2 4 7 8, and we go up to n minus 1 only. So once we have a list maintained in this fashion, then we can easily apply our formula, and we will be able to achieve our output. So considering all this in place, let us begin writing the code. We can create a function called as merge overlap list. This accepts an input sample input list. Okay, so for the first pass, we will iterate through it like this. Enumerate sample input list, and let's have a list called as first pass result list, or first pass process list, right? And here what we are interested in, if our IDX reaches the n minus 1, we do not want that to get processed, so we can directly break it, and where n is basically the length of sample input list. Okay. Uh, this is because the maximum combination sequence that we are interested to check will already be addressed when we have 2478. So, and we do not want to check any further, that's why we put this break condition like this. Then we move ahead and we create this the ABCD formula list over here. So here let's call this as inner list as sample input list of IDX, the current element, and sample list of input list of IDX plus 1, the next element. So in the first iteration, we get 1 3, and in the 1 3, and doing IDX plus 1, we will get 2 4. This whole thing will be concatenated, and this will become our inner list, and we can now append this inner list to here, first pass process list. Okay, so after this we can let me just print it to show you how things are functioning. Let me return none just for the demo purpose for the time being. We pass sample input list, and your sample input list will be this. I'll move along and I'll execute this. So this is how this first pass list is going to look like. Once you understand this thing, the rest of the problem statement becomes fairly intuitive and fairly simple. We just need to iterate inside this first pass process list. Now we need a result list, or we can call this as merged overlap list, right? And here we basically do the restructuring. ABCD is equal to val of 0, val of 1, val of 2, and val of 3. Also, we will need a processing list just to avoid any duplicate. Our formula will be if A is less than D and B is greater than C, right? So in this case, A is less than D, that is true, and B is greater than C. So over here, what we need to do, we need to check if current combination, that is A comma D, or we can have this current combo as A comma D. Now we can compare this if current combo not in processing list. Then we move along and we append this to processing list, and we basically append the first, this is the resultant list that we are interested in, current combo. We should also consider the sequence that was uh, merged, right? So 1 3 and 2 4 should also be present inside this processing list, because in the later flow, as we have seen over here, again 2 4 comes, that we want to avoid. So over here we pass A comma B, and same thing we pass C comma D. If the condition is not meeting, so the else block will run. Inside else block, we need to simply do if A comma B not in processing list. The same thing, if C comma D not in processing list. The same thing, A comma B, and here we need to do C comma D. Alright, we can now return our merged overlap list, and let us see what is being printed. 1 4 and 7 8. Now this is doing the purpose, but there is some use cases or some edge cases that will give us a test case failure. So one edge case over here is, suppose we got an input, let me have this input this only, and suppose we got an input after this something like 9 comma 10 and 9 comma 11. So in this case we will get 9 10 and 9 11 both, because the way our first pass is iterating, the 9 will get repeated, right? So in order to avoid this, what we need to do, we need to identify how, based on the first sequence of the inner list, right, the zeroth index of the inner list, uh, if this is being repeated multiple times, then we want to avoid the uh, second last element. So in this case 9 11 is a a valid overlapped sequence, 910 is not, so we need to remove this. So the way we can achieve this is through, we'll iterate through to this merged overlap list. We can create a dictionary. This dictionary will hold the value of how much time the zeroth index of every inner list is coming. So for 1 it will be just 1, for 7 it will be uh, just 1, for 9 it will be twice, right? So for the lack of the better word, let's call this as duplicated overlap dict info. This val is equal to, if val not in duplicated info, so we need to initialize this with empty list, and in this case we need to append this to idx, right? So I can print and show you how this thing is functioning, right? Every time I forget it, I'm really sorry about this. Val of 0, and here also val of 0, here also val of 0, right? So here how the thing is happening, 1 came at the 0th index, 7 came at the first index, 9 came at second index and at the third index. So based on this, now we are good to go ahead, and we can take the decision that the second index element needs to get removed, right? So now what we need to do, we need to iterate on this thing, duplicated overlap info list. So the key is something that we are not interested in, but the idx list is something that we are interested in. Idx list in info.items, the dictionary that we created. Here we check if idx list, if len of idx list is greater than 1. So this will basically flag us that there are some duplicates, and if this is what is true, then we need to iterate in this idx list up till the -1 index. Basically we need to leave out the latest element, and we need to only remove the second last element, right? And we can now easily do merge overlap list dot pop the idx. Now when we will execute our code, we will see proper output. So that's about it for the merge overlap sequence problem.